have been apparently some resolved issues in Buffalo, New York. And that's where we start off today's show, Perloff, because yesterday the words were very concerned, and that was Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Yesterday, it was all about Josh Allen vaguely apologizing to Stefon Diggs for something. We're not sure. Diggs was in the building, then left the building. Today, I'm on social media watching Diggs catch passes from Josh Allen, and apparently things have been healed.
Well,
I have whiplash.
I think things have been healed in the short term, but there clearly seems to be something going on behind the scenes. There's some drama. There is, I would say, a malcontent player in the locker room right now.
Yeah, you think? I mean, that's what we have to be led to believe. And you guys know I'm a lifelong Buffalo Bills fan. If somehow Stefon Diggs, who is incredibly central and important to everything the Bills want to do this year, the Super Bowl, aspirations, Diggs has to be a part of this. But if he blows this for the Bills too, and if he becomes this sort of distraction that lasts through training camp, you are throwing red meat to the other teams in the AFC. Have you noticed? Have you met a Jets fan and talked to a Jets fan rather in the last 24 hours? Giddy. They're giddy because they think there's a possible wedge that's being driven through the Bills. Patriots fans got to be feeling great about this too. Dolphins fans, there's just no margin for error in the AFC. And if Diggs does anything to disrupt that, I think it's going to be unforgivable. You're so close, Perloff. You're so close to a title.
I don't know. Is Stefon Diggs that impactful on the title?
Yes, absolutely.
But show me it's an unusual situation. Usually title teams don't need their star receiver. It's sort of there's a lot of data saying like number one receivers don't usually win Super Bowls. The great teams are not built like that. So I don't know. Yes, in the short term, they don't have anything besides Stefon Diggs, but if they could go back to January and get rid of him, now they've paid him. They can't.
Yeah.
Don't you think that sort of they might have been in a stronger position if they had known Diggs was unhappy and been able to get some other receivers in the building, go a totally different direction?
Well, did they know? I have no idea. Has there just been a lack of communication? This is like an Aaron Rodgers, so it's reminding me of that, like Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay and who's FaceTiming who and who's got their feelings hurt. Because outside, we don't have anything to go on here because everyone's been tiptoeing around this and been very vague. Like Stefon Diggs, vague on Instagram. People trying to lie about me. Okay, big dog, keep telling those lies. Who's big dog? Is it McDermott? Is it Josh Allen? Is it Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator? There's so much to fill in here and so many gaps that you're left to wonder, like, what has to be resolved? Can it be resolved? And I know that, top receivers and not winning Super Bowls, but you also have top receivers who won plenty of Super Bowls, like Jerry Rice. There are so
not many.
But you
name 5.
Okay, but you've watched the Bills, right?
Yeah.
You watch their offense.
Yes,
best when Stefon Diggs is a huge part of it. You want Gabe Davis to be your number one? It's not going to fly.
Is this Stefon Diggs led Buffalo Bills offense winning Super Bowls?
Yes, hopefully.
No, have they won?
Oh well, no. We both know
Will they
haven't
win?
Won. Well, has a Jamar Chase led, Bengals? They haven't won yet, but yes, they are worth it.
I don't know. I don't think they're worth it. I think the Bills will do this year, and then they'll move on. And it'll be better for
next year, the cap hit's even worse, so I don't know how you're going to do that.
Oh, they can't get rid of him next year? They're stuck with him for 2 years?
The cap hit next year, because we're post-June 1, I don't want to bore you with the details, but it's going to be very difficult. I read
Albert Breer saying this year it's impossible to get rid of him, but there's a great chance that he could be gone next year.
I've also read that this year they maybe, and next year is the $31 million cap hit. Cap hit.
Maybe you take that hit.
$31 million? What on football God's green earth are we doing here?
So here's the problem. You've never seen a Super Bowl champion really where everybody's not on the same page.
I know.
It just does. It's how you do it. That's how Tom Brady and the Patriots won all the Super Bowl because everybody was together. So to have this disgruntled receiver is just definitely something the Bills don't want to take on because it's not part of the winning formula at all.
No kidding. I just don't know what they do to try to resolve this because we don't know as the public what is wrong. And now I'm out there, they're out there, and he's catching passes from Josh Allen. And the last thing that I would hope happens is that they sweep this under the rug, paper mache over it, Band-Aid over a bullet wound, whatever you want to say, just to get to the season. and then this thing flares up like week 5 or week 8 or whenever Stefon Diggs doesn't have, 15 targets in a game.
Yeah, it's definitely not good. But I also think the Bills, it points to something, and correct me if I'm wrong, there seems to be something broken with the Bills' offense already. Last year, they blew a lot of leads, right? Because they couldn't kill any clock, because they couldn't get a key first down when they needed it.
Well, there's a couple things there, right?
I thought it was partly because Stefon Diggs was double covered.
A lot of it was.
And he couldn't step up and help the team in those situations, and it seems like a lot of frustration.
Yeah, there was a lot of bracketing done on Stefon Diggs for sure. There was a couple things. It was where people figuring out Ken Dorsey's offense. Him as a first-time play caller, did he sort of hit a wall? Bills have never had a really competent run game outside of Josh Allen in this era. And there's a lot of things, but again, these are all things that you hope get resolved, get worked on, that the offense evolves, that a play caller is different in year 2 than he is in year 1, just like Brian Daboll was for the Buffalo Bills. Like, these are not hurdles that I see are not impossible to jump. Teams do make progress. That happens.
That's true. I mean, the problem, though, like you say, did people figure out Ken Dorsey's offense? But how did they jump out to those 31-point leads? Like, how did they get those 31 points and then just stop producing? Can you explain that?
Yes, I can tell you. Because in first halves, they were catching defenses with things they hadn't seen before. And then all of a sudden in the second half, they would start to get a little bit, I would say, they would gamble a little, taking really big shots on first down, and then taking a shot again on second down. And if that's incomplete, well, now you're looking at 3rd and 10. Like, there were a lot of really ill-timed 3 and outs. When Von Miller went down with his injury, which was about the midway point, a little over the midway point of the season, then the defense obviously took a big hit. They couldn't, get sacks, couldn't get to the quarterback, allowed for a lot of teams to hang around. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound like they figured out Ken Dorsey. It just sounds like Ken Dorsey and Sean McDermott are not good game managers. So, and maybe that's what Diggs is upset about, the way the team is coached and play called?
Okay, but again, all things that could have been ironed out throughout this entire 5-month layoff that you've had since you last stepped on a football field together. It's just still boggling to me. And if this is the thing that torpedoes an otherwise super talented and optimistic season, it's unforgivable. By Diggs, by the Bills, by anybody who touches this, it's unforgivable. We've seen bad behavior from players or whatever. I don't even know what to call this. I don't call it bad behavior because we don't even know what he's upset about. But we've seen guys be upset with their teams before. They cannot afford to let this completely sink the season.
But I don't know if they're going to have a choice, because it might just be Diggs is so individualistic and is so set in his ways. He did the same thing in Minnesota. Seems like the problem is him. When you say they shouldn't let this happen, maybe it's not in their control.
I always think there's like a little 2 to tango here, though. Right?
I don't know, because he left a pretty healthy situation in Minnesota. I mean, Kirk Cousins has gone on to be one of the most best statistical quarterbacks in the league. They won 13 games last year.
Yeah, but come on.
Well, I'm just saying.
You're even the one who points out all the time how those wins seem fluky. Those wins were one score. Those wins were not indicative of who the Vikings, their true ability, and that showed in the playoffs.
Right, but I do think it was a good offense, and it was certainly an offense that was ripe to have the best receiver in the league, because Justin Jefferson came in and was 20% better than Diggs. So whatever he was upset about was personal to Diggs. Just like this. I mean, the Bills have, second best offense in the league last year. How can you complain about this offense? I mean, except for Kansas City, they're right there. So I think it might be him, Maggie. I think that's the problem. I don't agree really with the 2 to tango thing. I think it's mostly Diggs. Not that I'm there, and like you said, there's a lot of mystery.
I think you're trying to make a case that somehow the Bills would have been better off without him.
They would be.
I can't get there.
I think listen, now they need some bodies, but say this all happened in January. I don't know the financials. They could have cut him and drafted Zay Flowers in the first round and then signed DeAndre Hopkins.
They're not in that position.
Well, they trade up to 25 to get Kincaid, and Flowers went 22. I mean, maybe trade up a little more. They could have at least had options. Now they have no options. Diggs has them over the barrel because he waited so long to let this all be known, unless they knew in the building.
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah. So we do have some Sean McDermott. This is fresh. So this is Bills head coach Sean McDermott speaking moments ago to the media.
There's a lot of things out there that aren't accurate. Let me be clear. Steph did everything that he was asked to do. He was here Monday and reported for meetings, at which time we had a good conversation, great communication, and we got to a point yesterday where we just felt like we all needed a break and some space. And so I gave Steph permission to get some space and head out, and then picked up those conversations after practice.
Maggie,
there's nothing about that makes sense.
Yeah, are you confident in this Sean McDermott right now?
Wait a minute. Hold on one second. That was the first time I was hearing that sound, because this is literally coming in right now. How in any way is that not just a bold-faced lie? What he said in there, I gave him permission to leave, when yesterday they asked where he was, and he said, I have no idea, and I'm very concerned about it. What's the truth? That is insane. Is there more to the story?
He reiterated, I gave him permission to leave, later on in the quote. Later on in the press conference, which we haven't gotten the audio yet, but I'm pulling it out, he was asked, why, if you gave him permission to leave, why did you say you were concerned?
This makes no sense. This is totally backwards.
And I didn't hear the full answer. I'll get the quote, but he was basically just kind of dancing around it. Well, anytime a player is concerned or having issues or not happy, of course, I'm always concerned about that. And it was just such nonsense. It feels like they're just backtracking, that something happened yesterday, something blew up.
Yes.
They've maybe they've quelled it, or maybe they're just pretending.
Or he must have left in a huff or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Or left in,
And kind of like what you're talking about, their Twitter handle, the Bills' Twitter, it's just like, there's a picture of Steph there. He's here. Then there's a video of him giving a handshake to Josh Allen. Then another picture of the two of them together looking like rosy and happy.
Yeah, right.
They're clearly doing damage control, and it seems like they're going overboard to cover it up.
That's ridiculous for McDermott. He sounds ridiculous.
The Jets are winning the AFC East, baby. Yes.
Told you. All these Jets fans now are looking at the Bills like, there's trouble in paradise.
Yeah, there's nothing that could go wrong there in the Jets.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Aaron Rodgers is a solid as a rock.
Okay, wait. This isn't about Rodgers. This is about the Jets. This is about the Bills right now. Let's keep it on the Bills.
Hey, where's Bills Nation on Sean McDermott? Is he already sort of in a little, not hot seat, but is he, do people have doubts?
There's a faction. There's a faction, like there always is.
Would something like this add to that?
Yes. Yes, it will. There's a faction. Now, listen, in every city, I think there's always, like, why do all these NBA coaches keep getting fired when they make it to the playoffs? There's always a little bit when a team doesn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
Hey, is it the coach? Because the quarterback's not going anywhere. I'm hoping the wide receiver doesn't go anywhere. You know, the players are paid for the most part. So the coach is the one who a lot of times is the cheapest and most impactful move.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. It seems like if the Bills don't go there this year.
I thought he would be on the hot seat this year if they don't